Hi YouTube. Well, you've seen this map a few times. I presented to you this map because the Navy knows something they are not telling us. And we also know that there is a NLE 2011 being conducted here in the United States regarding a massive earthquake at the new Madrid fault line. And I have had a few comments saying, well, just because they are doing such an exercise do not mean that something will happen. Well, in London they had an exercise of terrorist attack in the subway on the exact same day that these bombs and buses blew up in London. The exact same thing took place in Spain too. They also had an exercise of anti-terrorism, and actual things did happen. And funny enough, on 9/11 they also had a terrorist exercise at the exact same day that the terrorist attack was taking place. And now we see they are having an LLE 2011 New Madrid fault line earthquake exercise. And we also know that FEMA have ordered millions of underwater body bags. We also know that they have spent a $3-figure million budget on food, blankets, and these underwater body bags. And that should already make you wonder, why would anyone go out and spend a $3-figure amount of money in millions on something which is not necessary, right? Come on. Come on. What are you waiting for? This is happening right in front of your eyes. And another thing is, right here in this area here, let me find my pointer. Oh, where did it go? Here it is. It's my thermometer. Oh, I lost it. Bear with me, this is going to be a little extensive video. It have to be, because there's a lot of things in this. Well, here in Arkansas there have been over 1,000 earthquakes since Deepwater Horizon. And I have also showed you that on all 4 drillings, meaning well A, well B, the 2 relief wells C and D, are all being drilled into the mantle. That is going to give some disturbance in the tectonic displacement, positioning of the North American continent. But that's not all. That is far from all what is taking place in the Gulf of Mexico. You see, I got a few pictures here I want to share with you. There was this guy on YouTube, I don't remember your name, I'm sorry, but I really appreciate you put this one in. He put something in called the Hutchinson report, and it is about how they are drilling for natural gas here in North America. And they are literally drilling for natural gas everywhere in North America. And let me show you where they are drilling for this natural gas. You see all these spots. This is where they are doing the so-called fracking, where they are extracting natural gas by pumping down water into the crust with hydraulic pressure. And it basically looked like this. Now I'm going to show you. Just watch the movie. You see they have a drill tower, and it drills vertical in, and then they go horizontal, and then they put pressure on it, and then they crack the Earth's crust to release the natural gases. And at the same time they are pumping 596 different chemicals into this water. This is your aquifers, people. This is your drinking water, people. And then they're leading this gas to a collector, and they can be pumped into tanks or to bigger cavities, and they can be stored before they go into the city area for you to use. And you don't think anything of it. Well, it's nice we got natural gas instead of we are using an old oil furnace or using coal or something like that. Gas is cleaner when it burns. Oh yeah, that's true. But we still got 596 very toxic chemicals, which in 1995 Mr. Bush, he signed a little thing with Cheney to lift off all safety features, to lift off environmental features when it comes to drilling for oil and natural gas, meaning they can do whatever they want to, and you don't have a word to say. And if you did, you wouldn't anyway, because this country is completely asleep, and that is obvious. You would have a revolution if you knew what's going on, and if you know what is really going on in your country. They are undermining your nation. The entire continent of United States is being undermined because they're drilling for this stuff in order to make a big profit, right? But another thing in this is, and this is something the Hopi Indians knew about, that there was a vast snake system in the United States underneath the crust, and they knew it was something not good. Well, here you got a cross-section of North America, and this is Mexico. This is the east coast of North America, and this is of course the west, and here we got the New Madrid line. All these you see here on the picture, all these colored areas is where there is natural gas. And through my studies during the Gulf oil spill, when that was on its height, I was doing some research on the crust of North America, because I wanted to find out how thick is the crust between the seafloor and to the magma of planet Earth in the vicinity of Macondo 252, and I found out to my shock that it is between 4 and 7 miles thick, the thinnest place on planet Earth, and they punctured that 4 times. Okay, so you see here, all this gas is in the layers, in the crustal layers on the North American continent. And in some places this gas is no deeper than 20 feet down. And if you look again on what they're doing here, right, let's just jump in here if it wants to work. Well, it didn't. Why is it doing that? I don't know. This is strange. No, never mind. You don't want to play with me, apparently. But I want to read something for you here. I took the pictures from here. And this is here where they are doing the Hugoton Panhandle Gas Reserve. And they are talking about the aquifers. With water missing, this area becomes a partial vacuum. So down here later in the report, this is some of the results. Some of you know and have seen this. That gas is bursting through the surface of the ground. And it's happening all over here in America, but it doesn't get any media coverage. And this is literally a ticking bomb. But what I want to read for you here is quite shocking. Okay, where is it? Here it is. As for these reserves not being interconnected, we are not saying that air passages this size of the Holland Tunnel connect all of America's natural gas reserve. What we are saying is there is no such thing as solid piece of airtight rock that separates them. Well, due to my study of the crust of the North American continent, I found out that there is very little solid granite due to the tectonic movement of the North American continent. We know that the Atlantic Ocean is widening. It has always been doing so, but it has picked up speed. But it has then, and let me take a picture to illustrate it. Here, this is the best picture of it. This is connected to the North Atlantic ridge, right? This plate is moving in this direction. This plate over here, which is called the North American plate, or also the Mexican plate because it's connected down through to Mexico, is moving this way towards the west with 1 inch per year, but this speed has also picked up after this. 1,000 earthquakes in this area here. So in all this time, over these many million years, there has been a continuous press on the crust of North America. So actually only in this region here is the most stable area of the North American crust, and that is here where the so-called NVO has built their new facility and moving everything there. Plus they have built all their dumps there because they know this area will be the least affected when all this comes down. But in all this time, the Earth's crust has been grinding and pressing up against each other, and that had made the granite break and snap and become more or less brittle. So the North American continent is no longer stable. And you can count on the elite knows that. Those behind all this. Because they want something. They want the new Madrid line to snap. But another thing in this is that this is a potential danger. I'm not going to refer to Project Camelot, but they did say something that was quite interesting. And they did say that they wanted the Yellowstone Park to ignite, to blow. Well, you can think about that for a moment while I read on here. Well, there is no such piece as a solid airtight rock that separates them. The reason for the plumber analogy is obvious. 1. As the replacement of water in one section of the reserve seeps towards the center of the Earth due to gravity, will leave behind a vacuum. That vacuum will suck in gas from other sections of the reserve through tiny crevices, cracks and porous shale-type rock, while simultaneously sucking in air, oxygen, from the surface of the Earth. And that was exactly what I was talking about. Through these shale layers, crevices and cracks. And they know that there is all these cracks in the North American continent. And yet they are drilling there for this natural gas by using this method called fracking, which just don't want to work now, which is quite annoying. But you need to see this one again. This is actually what they're doing. This land you're living on, they are greatly destabilizing by making fissures, cracks into the solid rock. And it is not granite, unfortunately. The granite you will find in Montana, you will find it in Nevada, and you will find it in Colorado, where the crust is actually very solid. But yet, we are getting earthquakes in Nevada now. I don't know why. I'm still thinking about that one. Well, sucking in air, oxygen from the surface of the Earth, free, eventually filling all of these depleted sections and their interconnecting leak sources with both gas and oxygen, which, if any portion of the reserve ever becomes ignited, will turn every leak source between one section and all other sections in the reserve into a system of dynamite-like fuses which will simultaneously ignite every section on the entire reserve, creating an explosion that will be of unimaginable proportions, encompassing the entire North American continent, all of which would take place within about a single hour. And then I'll go back to that picture. Look at this. Does that give you any reason for concern? Especially when you know they're doing this to you, and they're doing it basically everywhere. Oh, that was wrong. I need this picture. Everywhere. Do you see that? And they're even doing it on the new Madrid line. Do you see the danger in that? Do you understand the interaction between this depletion of oil and there's nothing being pumped in there, meaning, just as I read to you, it will leave behind a vacuum which will suck in gases from other crevices, and it will suck in oxygen. But in this case here, it will not suck in oxygen, it will suck in sea water. And I'll come to that in a moment. But this they're doing on the new Madrid line, basically. And this relates to each other. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Where is that picture? Here. I have shown you this. I haven't really gone into this picture too much. Let's zoom out. This is a giant brine pool. It's a salt layer. We know what they did. We know they did this to you. Why is it doing that? I'm opening this picture. That's annoying. Come on. Please. Thank you. This is the picture, cross-section of Earth's crust and what they did. This is where they drilled down, right? And compromised this salt dome. This salt dome is over 40 miles wide and is sticking 3 miles down into the Earth's crust. Here you see the new Madrid fault line lying, right? We also know they have ruptured a ley line, but I will not bring up that stuff in this video. That is beyond the point. But as we talked about many times on the Intel Hub on the radio show, as A.C. Griffith was saying, that this oil and these gases will eventually reach the aquifers of the North American continent. And you clearly see that. You see the oil is searching the weakest point, all the cracks and all the crevices, and this oil is coming out with a pressure of over 100,000 psi, more pressure than man-made machine can contain, and that's why they can't stop this one. This is what I said from the beginning. It is a runaway train. There is nothing they can do. The damage is done. I got ridiculed for that. Oh, they will be fine. Everything will be fine. No, it will not. And I repeat, it will not. This is a runaway train. They have opened Pandora's box for North America. You might like it or not. And this is not a Stephen King story. This is far worse than Stephen King can possibly write a book about. They have fractured straight down into the fault line. Oil is going through the fault line into North American continent and serves as a lubricant on the new Madrid fault line. And here's a cross section, if it wants to, of the new Madrid line. It is pressing in and making this slippery and making it easier for the new Madrid line to slip. It is obvious. You just have to look at this picture if you understand how to... Why is it doing this? I'm not opening that. Stop that. You see, it is pressing in through the fault line. It is pressing in through all the crustal layers, which is here. And these crustal layers are not granite. I have also described that earlier to you. These layers, which is most part of it, which is the New Madrid line, all the way up to the Great Lakes, is sandstone, mudstone, mild chalk, limestone, and evaporite is the lowest layer before the mantle. There is absolutely no granite here. There is absolutely only unstable, very brittle stone. Sandstone is not a strong stone. Mudstone neither. Mudstone is most part of the state of Oklahoma is built on that. And what will happen when a big earthquake hits Oklahoma? We will have an effect called liquefaction, which will turn this mudstone, because of water coming from below, being pressed up because of the pressure and the vibrations, and it will dissolve and make this Mississippi mud into a goo, and every building standing on it will sink into the ground. So there is many dangers, and if you look at this, again, it doesn't work. This is very annoying. But when you look at this, just play with me. And they're doing this everywhere in America, as you see here. So you can't see what is really going on. They are undermining the very land you live on, and they don't care. They want money. And it is, as A.C. Griffith and I said on the radio show, harshly it sounds, people, they want to kill you. They have no interest in keeping you. Why do you think they have built 800 FEMA camps here in the United States? Why are they conducting a new Madrid fault line disaster, which could eventually, when it happens, take out and kill 30 million people in less than an hour? You need to think about that. And I don't want to hear anyone saying, you need to be reported, Henning, for warning people. And are you going to finance their movement to another location? No. But I'm speaking to people's wits. Do you want to live in a section where your life will be terminated when the new Madrid line goes off? Because of the Gulf oil spill. Because of all this stuff they're doing. Especially around the new Madrid line. Do you see that? It will break. And it only needs a little help from up here in Alaska, called HARP. And it will go. And they got all the equipment ready. They got all the underwater body bags. They got all the daily meals ordered. They got all the blankets ordered. And they have spent a $3-figure million budget on that stuff. And now we also learn from ready.gov. I showed you that video where there's this family in their home is turning upside down, and then they have a backpack with their survival kit. And now we also learn that on children's program called Sesame Street, they are doing the exact same thing, just for children. So already there, these evil minions are telling the children, we're gonna come and get you, because we're gonna make a disaster happen here in America. And they will. This is the aim. This is the only way for them to bring in what was demised, and that is the North American Union. When this country goes down, and it will go down, it will be that paradigm shift for North America when New Madrid goes off. Because when you look at this, which the Navy so brilliantly has formed for us, how much land is left of North America? And if you hold this picture, just keep it in your mind, and when you look at this, do you see on the picture that there is absolutely a correspondence to the end result? Due to the fracking, due to this sinister thing they're doing. I hope so. And this one still don't work. This is beginning to be annoying. But you saw what they did. Well, further in this little article here, it says here, according to Ken Satterwhite, General Manager of the Canadian River Municipal Water Authority, in year 2004, Lake Meredith lost roughly 40,000 acre-feet of evaporation and pumped about 58,000 acre-feet of water, at a time when inflow measured only 38,000 acre-feet for a whole year. He said that 2001 set an all-time low for inflow, that even that record was broken in 2002, only to be broken again in 2003. But prior to the drought, an average inflow would be around 122,000 acre-feet. In addition to evaporation and pumping, the CRMWA officials' estimate says they will be losing up to 40,000 acre-feet a year to salt cedar trees. And in April 2004, the water flow into the Lake Meredith was only 10 cubic feet per second, down from as much as 700 cubic feet per second, turning most of Lake Meredith into not much more than a giant mud hole, with most of its boat ramps in fact closed. In 2006, High Plains Water District Manager Jim Conkright stated that its full capacity of Lake Meredith is 191 feet deep or more. Right now it's reportedly 56 feet deep. So you can see what is happening. They are taking away your water. Right? And this is going on in a city called Lubbock in Texas. Well, let's look at Texas. Here, this is here where there is a lot of activity going on with pumping natural gas. Actually, they are even so bold, they are putting natural gas pumps up right next to children's playgrounds. Gosh. But here it's going on. And they're talking about in this report that if this explodes, it says here, if the great abyss ever ignites, there won't be time to say poof. Moreover, as documented by following link, nearly all of the world's helium supply is found within a 250 miles radius of Amarillo in Texas. And with Lake Meredith now all but gone, there is no water to pump it. Therefore, the shortage of available helium is so severe that they are now complaining that there is not even enough helium available to fill balloons for New Year's Eve 2008 parades. Well, I made a little thing with that, and I made a on Google Earth. I hope you can see the circle. This point here is the center. This is Amarillo. And this line here is 250 miles long. So I made a circle around it. Down here, in this area here, contains most of the world's combined helium. And helium can't burn. So we got Dallas lying here, right? What do you think, people, if this ignite will happen? There will be nothing left. It will be a giant sinkhole, which will lead to even more disaster. And when you look at this map again, right? Here we got Texas. Look at all these interconnecting gas reserves there is in the North American continent. Look at that. If this one ignites, containing the largest helium reserve on planet Earth, don't you think it will affect the rest of it? And don't you think it could, I don't say it have, but it could have an effect on Yellowstone. We have earthquakes going on in Yellowstone right now. This one is a little old, but it's still good. This is Yellowstone seismograph. This is a 13-hour non-stop rumble from the caldera in Yellowstone. This is from the 26th of August 2010. And this is not in the caldera itself, but here we got 29 earthquakes recently, actually from the 12th of January 2011, going quite close to Yellowstone Park. I don't know if you understand what it is I'm trying to convey to you. But I don't think, honestly, that the Navy is making this kind of map for the fun of it. And this is Edgar Casey's map of future America. That's how he visioned it. Well, some call him a Freemason and blah blah blah. I don't care. This consists with what he said. This is a 20-year-old map drawn from his sleeping prophecies. And you see here, New Madrid line snapped. And he also said that there will be in another generation. He also said that the East Coast will be more or less submerged. So what I think will happen, and this is just my take on it, the rest I've just told you about is fact, okay? So now here's my take on it. When you look at this thing here, and can you imagine that these gas reserves, by not being replenished with anything because the water is drawn away, right, and it leaves back in vacuum, then we will get the effect like we see especially in the West Tennessee, sinkholes. But we will get sinkholes galore on the North American continent because they're sucking out the gas and they're not putting anything in. And especially not in the Gulf of Mexico, they're putting anything in. But let's go back to this picture here with the salt brine. They drilled down into the salt dome, right? They did that 4 times. They were leasing Macondo surface 252. But they were drilling in Macondo sub, meaning on the sea floor, in 296. That is the one straight below in the grid in the Mexican Gulf for the oil fields. So they were actually drilling down, but in towards. Can you imagine that? They're going down, but they're actually aiming for the salt dome. And that was the other picture I showed you. So what is happening in the coastal areas of the Gulf of Mexico? That is, there is nothing, as I say, being pumped back in. I have showed you in Seek and You Shall Find that there is absolutely no geological surveys conducted on the drills. There are no mud logs, and that could tell me that there was no mud being pumped in at all. That means that this is flowing and leaving behind a cavity, leaving room for the ocean water to seep in and go underneath. And that will create tremendous pressure. But this is a salt brine. Look how big it is. It is far bigger than the biggest state of United States, meaning Texas. Look how vast it is. So if you look at that picture and imagining that this salt is being washed out by the pressure of the sea because they did this, right? Drilled into the salt dome, and now seawater is washing this solid salt away, right? And if you look at this, you can kind of see there is a correlation between that. When the salt brine is gone, the land will fall because there's nothing underneath to support that multitude of tons and tons and billions of tons of land which is above this salt brine, which is now being washed out, plus the cavity of the oil. It will literally make this area here go like this, oh, split, and it's obvious. It's right there for you. This is what's going on. This is what will happen because of this, and because of all the fracking they're doing up along the new Madrid line. You gotta see that. You really gotta see that. This is the harsh reality. And when you look at this map, right, and up here we have Yellowstone Park sitting on come on, can you see it? This is devastating, and they know that, right? I didn't do a chroma key on the shale, but we know they're pumping it up here, the fracking. We know they're doing the fracking here. We also know they're doing the fracking up here. And we know there's a huge gas reserve here too, and they are all interconnected, right? So if this one goes, and these gas pockets, because of the composition of the North American crust, as I read to you, that it is not very solid, right? And in some places it's only 20 feet down, the gas. When this, and if it explodes, it will make Yellowstone go off. I'm pretty sure of that. And this brown area you see here, that will be the ash covering United States. Toxic ash, very toxic. High quantity of metals and sulfur. Nothing living will sustain that. There's no question about that. So I'm not saying that this will happen, but it is a very, very strong possibility that could take place. And to take the raw picture of the Yellowstone, come on, it says there's no example. What is that? Of course there is. It's right there. Okay? And underneath, in all this area here, we have this gas. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. Right? And they're doing this right in front of you when it wants to come up. I don't know why. I'm so tired of this computer. I feel like putting a hammer through it. Come on. But I hope you understand what it is I'm getting at. They know this. They know this stuff. They know what they're doing. And yeah, they are spending a lot of money on a new Madrid fault line disaster, a three-figure $1 million budget. People, would you accept, if there was no danger of the new Madrid line, would you honestly accept that your government is spending your tax dollars on buying food, blankets, underwater body bags for the fun of it? Don't you think those three-figure $1 million amount could be used for something for American schools, transportation? I think so. And what is it the communist government is doing to you? What is it they're doing? Let's go up in the top. This is right here. They're crashing your economy. They're bringing drought by pumping away the water. They are blasphemous, right? They're crushing your transportation system too. They're giving you diseases, famine due to bad economy, right? And drought. Nothing can grow if there's no water, and the water is being pumped away and taking it from you. And it will lead to destruction. So I made a video called The Destruction of America, and it's still my take on it, and I don't know where I get it from, but this is what I see. This is the end result. This will happen, and it will happen in our children's life. It will happen in my present life. And I said the other day that my feeling is around May and June this year, new Madrid line will go off. So when you look at this map, let me zoom in a little, you can see that a lot of America is gone. You can also see that where people need to be and where people do not need to be. It doesn't make me feel too good to look at something like this. That this is something that the Navy knows about. And I also now know, and that is that the Navy was in charge of the drilling in the Mexican Gulf. I have showed you the proof of that. So, why are the Navy conducting such a map? And what are they trying to show us? Right? They are showing us what will happen. I live right here. That little speck. That means if I'm still around when this happens, there is a slight chance I will survive, because this is the highest point of Indiana I'm living in right now. But the rest of Indiana is gone. That don't make me feel too good, knowing this. And I know this is man-made disaster because of this, and because of all their fracking. They ain't pumping water back in. It's just a vacuum. There's absolutely nothing to support the crust. They're taking the water away. But I actually have another thing too. You know they're putting down the Corexit, right? In the Gulf of Mexico. And they say Corexit is not toxic. But this is how they are handling the Corexit before they put it on board the planes. Right? So, don't worry about it. Corexit is okay. It's just, dissolving the oil and make it easier to clean up and make it go away and stuff like that. But nevertheless, the workers pumping it into the airplane is in high protection gear. Isn't that insane? And that stuff they're pumping directly into the ocean. And this is an old picture. They started out by clearing the surface so it didn't look so bad for you people that millions and millions of gallons of crude oil is pumping out non-stop, and it's still pumping out. Trust me on that. But now, I also showed you that they are actually now not spraying it on the surface. They found another technique, and that is they're pumping it directly towards the gushers in the Gulf of Mexico on the seafloor. I showed you that, and you can go on Christina Garrett's page and see some of the corrected operations they have done. And you can also go on Mr. Glasgow Truther. You can also go to Arabella 33 and of course BP Oil Disaster, and you can go there and look for yourself and see how they're pumping in this Corexit. But this Corexit is mixed with antifreeze, and that is strange. Why on earth would they want to use antifreeze? Because antifreeze and oil do not mix. The petroleum product Corexit does mix with the oil and dilute it. That's true, and it will sink it into the seafloor. But the antifreeze do not mix with the oil. So what is the antifreeze for? What effect will that have at all on this oil gusher and the environment in the Mexican Gulf? I told you that an area of over 50,000 square miles is dead now. That is 6 months ago I told you that, and that was an area the size of basically entire California, which is now dead, and there will never be life there again. And that means your fishing industry in the Gulf of Mexico is permanently terminated. It will never come back. And when the new Madrid line snaps, it will be quite obvious that there will be nothing left at all. So what I did, and I want to show you that, let me go down here and see if I can do that. You go down here on this piece of paper, right? Here. Let's hope I'm not too close. This is oil. Normal engine oil. You can see the consistency of it. Believe me, this is engine oil. This is for my car. This is the only amount of oil I have. Okay? But this is engine oil. TW 30W. And here we got, as you see, right? Antifreeze, right? So let's zoom down here again. Let me show you this. Let me pour this into there. Do you see what happened there? Because I do. Can you see it? The oil and the antifreeze are not mixing. Do you see that? Let me stir it around a little. You see that? They're pumping antifreeze into the Gulf of Mexico and making us believe that it is good for cleaning up the oil, to dilute the oil, but you clearly see there that the antifreeze is not mixing with the oil. So what is the reason for using the antifreeze? Well, this is my theory on it. You do know they are so keen on selling us the carbon tax. They really want to bring us down to our knees with their communist plan. Let me show you something here. Go back up here, right, in this area. Okay, sorry, this is a very long one, but this is very important. Okay. Let's use the Edgar Cayce map. You see, if the end result of the flooding of North America, the new Madrid line snaps, you can clearly see here what that will lead to. All these millions and millions and millions upon millions of gallons of antifreeze they are putting into the Gulf of Mexico. When the new Madrid line snaps, there will be created a giant vacuum. This body of water here will be sucked in, right? And it will connect with these lakes. And this is actually the old existing New Madrid fault line. It is actually going like this. So what does that lead me to think? That is, when it comes up out here, it is all the way up by Newfoundland, all the way up by Nova Scotia. And what do we have up there? We have the North Pole. And when you look at this, right, you see it doesn't mix, but antifreeze mixed with water. What effect do you get then? You get a de-icing of the North Cap. And by proving that the ice is disappearing to the sheep, people will believe that we are the cause of global warming, which is a hoax. I got all the emails the Russians cracked in their code, and there is absolutely evidence of that they have manipulated the numbers. Those two Russians need a medal. They are heroes. They blew their cover. So when you look at this, right, that could make me think what they're trying to do is they want to de-ice the North Cap. Make sure when this stuff is going up there, being sucked up there, that the North Cap cannot freeze over again, or for a period of time, until the antifreeze is diluted enough in the water to not having an effect on the freezing. But it will be time enough for them to sell the carbon tax and ruin and destroy your entire life, because you will not be able to afford to put gas in your car when the carbon tax comes, and it will come. They will make it. New World Order will commence, but they will lose, we know that. So, look at this. Does it mix? No. Why are they pumping antifreeze into the Gulf of Mexico? They want to melt the ice on the North Cap. And I actually got another thing very shortly. I've showed you that globe of the earthquakes, right? Oh, there she is again. So let me put that one up just shortly. Come on, machine. Gosh! Faster! Much faster! Don't got time for this. Oh, where did it go? That's weird. Where is it? 2 seconds. Well, I couldn't make my real-time work and show you the present earthquakes, but it's very, very active in the Pacific and the Indian Ocean again today, and also up in California. But what I wanted to show you here is I believe, and as we saw in the movie 2012, that the magma was intensifying the heat, and that will lead to the crustal displacement. I believe, and this is just my take on it, that they are using CERN to heat up inside Earth. Make sure that the temperature rises and rises and rises, but they're shooting this beam, this electromagnetic cannon, which it is not a particle accelerator. That is bullshit. They got plenty of those on planet Earth, so bullshit. This is an electromagnetic cannon. I believe they can use this to heat up the Earth magma. We remember that the webbot said that there will be a problem with the core of the planet. I think CERN is the culprit here. And I think they might be shooting a beam through the crust and through the Earth mantle and hitting the Pacific plate. Over here, as you see. Because I checked on the map, it kind of looked like that these earthquakes are in a direct line right through planet Earth. So this is why these things are happening over there now. And this is what they want, because the Indian plate is that plate that locks all the other tectonic plates into place. When the Indian plate goes down, all the other plates will be released, and we will get crustal displacement, meaning pole shift. So if you go watch the movie again, 2012, and really look closely on what they're showing you, they are exactly showing you what is taking place. And I think it's man-made. That's all I have to say.